pulled that one out for him. Down to the final pick of this draft. For now, we will be diving in Ever8, like I said, on blue, taking their time with this first ban. We'll see where they want to target out the Jace. On blue side, very likely. And there we have it.
Why even think about it? Just ban the Jace. Again, my big prediction here, and what we've seen from Ever8 is what they will do, just like Longzhu to some degree, is do everything they can to get an advantageous matchup for Keen in the top lane. They want to get him a counter lane pressure matchup. What we saw from them last time out was early drafting the Jarvan, flexing it to jungle for Malrang, and focusing on getting Keen a positive matchup. Longzhu will not be lost on that. There's a reason they will blind pick Jace, because they trust in Khan with a champion that basically always will have lane pressure. So look for pushing lanes and lane priority to be what both teams put everything into securing.
Well, Talia and the Caitlyn both coming through, so respect over to Khan, now focusing on BDD. Ever8, do they want to take something out of the jungle pool perhaps here for that final ban?
Yeah, at least, so of course, a possibility when it comes to the bans, but not necessarily a must ban. Sejuani priority has gone way down this week after being a big priority last week, and they will ban away the Thresh from Gorilla, who laughs. He's like, I've got plenty of other champions.
I've got another champion that I can hook with.
It's the final ban.
Come back again.
Talking about hookers is always a trap topic whenever you're talking League of Legends, but what about Kalista, who's been a trap champion to be left open? The win rate has been very high. It will be the final ban, so Elise is one of the big picks available. Galio kind of goes the fits and spurts. Is it a first pick? Is it left open? You're never really sure with the Galio pick.
Could grab it for themselves if they wanted to for Septed in the mid lane.
Oh, do you just first pick Jarvan? That's an option you have here. Malrang has already shown good ability with it, and a first pick Xayah. Very interesting draft from Ever8. You notice they have not banned Ashe against Prey, and Longzhu have by far the highest priority on Ashe of any team in the LCK, given that Prey is a god on the pick. But that means Elise also is left available for Cuz. That is his career most played jungler in solo queue, in competitive play. That is ultra comfort for him. So no surprise, it's locked in.
Yeah, and then, I mean, you pile the Ashe on top of that. That's a lot of pick potential with the Enchanted Crystalline Arrow and the Cocoon. So could just be maximum comfort here for Longzhu in this first round of the draft.
The other option is to go for something like the Twitch, or Tristana will be a different way. Okay.
All right, well, I'm already intrigued. Tristana. It's been a rarity for us here in the LCK. Picked up, across other regions, but has very much been eluding us. Will be locked in here for Prey.
And not a Prey champion. A Prey, because of his long tenure, has a lot of champions you'd associate with him. Ezreal, certainly. Ashe, certainly. Twitch, certainly. Jhin was one of the first players there. But Tristana, no. Tristana is a very rare pick for him. While we have a second, I'll have a look into legacy numbers there. Has certainly played it, I believe, but not with any frequency. 5 games in his career, 3 and 2 on the Tristana. You got to be careful with the Teemo. You got to hover that early, otherwise we've already learned that multiple times it can be misdrafted.
Yeah. Well, all right, Gragas will be the pick in the end. They flashed the Gangplank for a second. My ears perked up at that. Thought maybe we were going to be seeing the Pirate making a return, but just got to be the Gragas locked in. Bit ambiguous still here for the side of Ever8. Only have that bot lane really figured out by Longzhu. Gragas could go up to the top or into the jungle for Malrang.
And technically, the draft of the Galio can go in multiple lanes. It's been a BDD champion so far for Longzhu. 5-1 on the Galio that, as we said, has gone up and down. But BDD has been unbelievable in terms of staying alive. Now, of course, you get super tanky on the Galio, but a 29 KDA is nothing to be trifled with. He's only died a handful of times in the 6 games he's played the Galio.
Well, it seems like they want it for the mid lane because the Lucian ban comes through here against Septed.
The second ban is also interesting. You see a lot of different schools of thought of how to play against Galio. Victor is one of the comfortable lanes that can kind of scale against Galio in a way that Victor can no longer do into general lanes. We spoke about the Jarvan first pick, and instead we're going to actually see a Jarvan ban from the side of Ever8. That has been the secondary blind pick for Khan when he doesn't have information about the top lane, and we've already learned that this week is the week of last picking support to get the big counter pick. The Blitzcrank, for example, was a counter pick on the red side. So a lot of top laners already banned. When you see a Fiora ban, you always have an outside chance, Achilles, of the Galio being flexed to top lane.
This is true. playing around with that and just maybe even save the last pick for BDD in the mid lane if that's going to be the case.
Remember, Elise was in the first round, and one of the reasons that at the start of the season they had high priority on Elise was to allow Zed to be picked in the mid lane. We're not in 7-14, so lethality hasn't seen the same big changes, but always chance.
You're teasing me here. It's like Ever8 is denying us the Alistar from Gorilla. But, well, the Jax has been left open. This was banned against Khan by SK Telecom just 2 days ago, and they're going to lock this in.
And that makes the Alistar ban a really weird one to me because it hasn't been a high recent priority from Gorilla on the Alistar. There's been a lot of attention to his champion pool, but taking a powerful top laner was the biggest thing for Longzhu. They wanted damage given that Galio is likely to be a mid laner, and suddenly you're like, wait, what do we draft into the Jax? Because something like a Renekton can certainly be snowballed on if the ganks come through with the Elise, and Elise does have that very high jungle pressure. Gorky going to be the safe mid laner, but I'm very interested to see what's going to be going top lane against the Jax.
I feel like the Gragas wouldn't have a great time of it either, so it should be in the jungle for Malrong.
Yeah, Rumble also doesn't have a happy time. Keen is almost always looking for advantages. This could be a creative counter pick here from him, or maybe actually this is still going to be ambiguity because...
Oh.
Okay, the ambiguity is gone.
Okay, never mind.
No assurances about this matchup either. This is one that can work against Jax, but also you can get a lot of value out of the counter-strike in this matchup.
It's a Jungle Corki and a Gnar mid.
You've been thinking too hard. Too much of the...
No, I've just been suffering through solo queue.
That's fair.
Smithy.
Hey, Jungle Gnar's happened before.
That's true.
And support necessary could just be a return to the Kennen support for Gorilla. Be a lot of lane presence with Tristana and Kennen. Okay,
right.
So Tristana, Kennen, double Yordle, duo lane, double ranged also. Very painful lane for specifically the Rakan to deal with. And Kennen is Gorilla's counter pick to Rakan, especially in laning phase. You just basically can have a stun ready on demand every time he dives in. And in a team fight, you pop Slicing Maelstrom, and suddenly you're not able to have the same influence as a Rakan as you are usually. So very strong in lane and strong in the team fight phase, and a backup initiator if everything else goes away.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if he has the quickness charm coming through. As long as you pop that Slicing Maelstrom first, you're still going to be locking everybody up. So Gorilla going to be very familiar with this lockdown here in the bottom lane, but still the Tristana, probably the most curious thing that we have in the game. Like you said, Prey, this doesn't really suit his, it doesn't really fit into his wheelhouse from what we've seen from him in the past.
Now, of course, if there was 780 carry bans or lots of contests, you would understand the Tristana. It is a good matchup in Desire in terms of auto attacks. It signals a fast push, which certainly you want to keep the game earlier with a Galio mid lane, but you're right, it's not a Prey champion by trade, and that's why you look at it and you do actually do a little bit of a double take.
Well, interesting all the same. Longzhu going to be looking to avoid the same fate that they saw Samsung suffer just earlier on at the hands of MVP. They want that 2-0 to overtake the first place spot, the highest that Longzhu will have been. Let's go ahead, jump onto the Rift for game one. All right, so still a full crowd, but definitely the majority are going to be those Longzhu fans showing up here today. We have some art there in the crowd.
That's a really great Prey.
And that's a monkey.
That is a monkey. Always awkward thing to say also. But
It is factually a drawing of a monkey.
I mean, I think we'd probably have to confirm with them that it was a monkey, but you're right, it does appear to be a monkey.
Are you trying to get into the classification of different species of
Yes.
primate?
Genus and
Okay.
all those lovely terms that I forget.
It's definitely not a baboon.
Who are you calling a baboon?
I mean, gorillas don't look that way, that's all I'm saying.
That's true. We know what gorilla looks like.
Yeah.
We actually can see him in our eye line, so it's okay.
He's below us.
I know, I can see his reflection.
Okay.
I strategically put a mirror there to be able to see him.
Okay.
Eyes on gorilla will be an important thing as this game goes on, but my eyes are on the top lane, Achilles, because does really feel like Jax is super empowered to take over this game. Laning matchup, obviously not ideal, but most Jax matchups are losing ones, but he has an Elise for gank pressure and also, think about it, a Galio to bail him out or make him unkillable in a team fight, or even in a skirmish. So this is the sort of game where if Khan gets an early kill, the impeding dread for an Ever8 fan would start coming early.
It might have already, just because, again, this is going to be now 10th place versus 2nd. So maybe there was a certain level of dread showing up to the studio here today, or turning on the stream, as Prey misses a lot of CS.
Strange, but just a product of the Tristana E, making those last hits a little bit more difficult. We'll have the early push advantage, double range like we said, and strong harass coming out of Gorilla, who will max Q first, judging on his previous game on the cannon.
Might be a while before we see much action here. Cuz rotating through the jungle. See if he doesn't want to pay a visit towards that top side first.
Fast push is already on. Double range and also the explosive shot means that turret HP is not going to be a trivial thing for Ever8 to play with.
Definitely not. Well, Prey does have to be careful that he doesn't eat too many of those turret shots after the explosion does come through. For now, Cuz just going to be doing a little bit of counter jungling here as he pushes in to take away the Gromp.
You're thinking about a blasting cone gank on top side if the Gnar pushes out.
Yeah, blasting cone gank onto the bottom side. As he does come over the wall, but he's spotted out by that ward well placed by BDD.
There's a pre-planned timing pretty clearly. Like you say, relieves a lot of pressure from the bot side that already from Champions League you knew would be pushing, just from the moment that Tristana cannon was locked in. They will play almost permanently under the turret of Ever8, and the moment you see an aggressive battle dance, or probably the more so the grand entrance, it probably does represent. And the gank is there.
Speaking of which, no gank though.
Sometimes you just have to feign aggression, otherwise you end up eating too much harass. Training the jungler is there is that art they were attempting for. Speaking of the jungler, we do know that he's bottom side.
Both of them are. As Cuz comes back through, down to the other Gromp. This is just going to be the recall here from Malrong. But, yeah, this far underneath the turret, there's just really no way for Longzhu to get in there and try to find a kill.
Cuz going to be looking for a lane gank. There is a ward in the most shallow brush for Ever8.
He's just rotating back over towards the try. So has not been spotted. There haven't been any pings onto him yet, but they need to allow for Ever8 to, kind of push up a little bit more. That's going to be the engage coming through. Heal thrown down as Gorilla will die first. Cocoon connects in onto Jewel, but can they follow up with anything? He flashes away to keep himself alive. And that's just going to be Ever8 finding first blood.
Yeah, usually Gorilla can read those situations well, but was squishier than he realized. Walking up, tried to bait for Cuz to get the angle, and even though the Cocoon landed, no way to go for the turret dive. Now an engage on the Tristana.
Now another knock-up comes through as Prey takes quite a bit of damage. Cuz still in the vicinity, but will not connect with the Cocoon this time around. Prey still holding on to that flash. They were able to get the one away from Duel. It's going to be a 1-for-1 plus first blood over to Ever8, and once you consider those summoner spells as well.
Surprising mistake in the straight up 2v2, you'd have to say, but obviously baiting for Cuz coming in. Not going to be the straw that broke the camel's back, but again, on a day where we already had a surprising result, you already start to wonder.
You can see here, Kane able to just zone Khan away from these minions. Wrap up will come through from Cuz. But, well, he failed the jump, but you can see the Elise is already abandoning the chase.
There's a really big minion wave that Jax will easily take out on the turret, so opportunity cost if the gank goes wrong is missing a full wave, and thus smart of Cuz to back away. Longzhu will just return to normalcy in the bot side. They didn't use flash on either Gorilla and Prey when Prey went down, when Gorilla went down, so able to just keep pushing.
They do have that safety, and there's no threat of the ignite, but Malrong go hunting down here perhaps. Ward placed in between the Tri-Brush and the river, so they can spot him from any avenue of approach, really. Blade Caller coming through. Ella takes quite a bit of damage. They can throw down on the Prey. He's just going to be looking for the back, and Duel likely to join in.
If this just means that we will see the Gragas having to path around bot side to relieve pressure, which we see now, Gragas coming in to help with the wave clear from the Xayah, does mean that Jax can play aggressively in top, and that Elise can try to get the snowball on to the Jax as the highest priority for the early game.
It's like Praying Gorilla. The only thing they really care about is just knocking down this turret as quickly as possible and opening up that bottom side of the map.
And just grouping with, say, the Jax, or rotating the Jax bot side and setting up preferential side lanes could be the big goal here from Longzhu. Worth noting that Jax, all things being equal, does have a CS advantage over the Gnar, both of them going for the Ninja Tabi Rush.
Invade pushing forward, will be spotted out by that ward, so it seems like not going to be able to find the engage. In the meantime, first brick could very well be going over. One more shot will do it. Ray finds it, 7 minutes on the clock. Just the sheer pushing power of that Tristana comes up with that turret kill, and that's going to be a pause.
Now, insight into what the issue is. See some smiles on the face of BDD on your screen.
Likely going to be an issue here for the side of Longzhu. Yeah, it looks like Cuz may be having a problem.
Do really see the power of the double yordles, the double ranged, and the amount of harass that can happen in the Tristana lane and the bot lane with the cannon. Felt like there was no potential for aggression apart from when Gorilla overstepped, but taking the turret really takes the wind out of the sails of Ever8, even if they felt good about first blood. Otherwise, not too much action to report to, other than the Jax lane going a bit better than expected CS-wise.
Yep, just, you know, slow and steady as she goes for the most part as far as the action is concerned. Just a very fast chip away at the turret. And the first blood, pretty much all that we've gotten out of this game so far. Because Cuz has not found another avenue of approach for that top lane yet to try to get things rolling for that Jax.
Waiting to hear any information about what the issue is. For now, we're in the darkness. Doesn't seem like it's anything too serious, though. Maybe a restart.
Fingers crossed that it's not some skin thing that popped up.
So we're hearing that there was actually an issue with target reaction. So Cocoon was hit towards a Scuttle Crab and seemed to go through it. So
yeah,
they're considering whether there was an issue. Maybe rolling it back and trying to work out what happened.
Well, to see if this is something that's going to be replicated, because if so, then well, it's a major problem given how prevalent Elise is in the current meta. So I'll try to get this one squared away, and hopefully it's just Cuz being wrong, but something tells me that there probably is an actual issue.
I mean, you wouldn't really want to go through any sort of significant, certainly a remake, given the fact that they'd already crashed down the turret basically on the earliest time possible, so I imagine it's just preventative for any future issues when it comes to Cocoon being recognized correctly. Seems to be communicating with the panel here, trying to work out what the specific issue is. So for now, we're just left wondering.
Getting more
it sounds like maybe there was a bit of a lag issue from what we can understand. So the idea seems to be to return to the game, and then from there, if the issue persists, we may have to have a repause.
Okay. Well, seems like we are going to get things back underway. Hopefully, it's just a one-time occurrence, so we can continue the game.
There's the offending Scuttle Crab.
Yeah, Cuz is just like, screw it. I don't even want to look at you anymore. I'm gonna go say hi to my friend Grom.
I mean, he does go kill Grom.
Yeah, he's gonna go beat his ass. Take out his frustration.
That sounded pretty cathartic for you to say. You all right over there, Achilles?
Again,
Still tilted about this?
I got my shoes spat on today. I'm still in a very poor mood, Papa Smithy. I need that fan back that blew us a kiss.
I think he's gone.
Probably. Oh well. I'll just have to wallow in my misery.
Get that feeling quite often, actually, Achilles. So you'll get through it. Waiting to see what Longzhu do with the fact that the bot lane turret was broken so early. Many different schools of thought you can approach this. I think the back is being channeled right now for Ever8. They probably anticipate a lane swap and the Tristana and the cannon going top side, but actually they're just returning bot lane. Interestingly, maybe they want to focus on the Cloud Drake.
They're going to be in vision now, so yeah, it looks like they're just going to go ahead and start pushing back down towards that bottom lane. In the meantime, BDD just being back in. Got that Catalyst ready to go.
So the reason to stay bot lane would be largely to make a play around Drake, because then all 5 members could respond to a Drake take. Going top lane will be about the fast push, but I guess when your Jax is going even CS, splitting CS with a Gnar, maybe there isn't the incentive to end the laning phase too early.
Yeah, just let him try to build up for his items, not put him in a poor matchup in that 1v2, and just let him try to stack up. See which avenue Khan wants to go for. seen a couple different builds from the Jaxes of LCK so far. As few of them as there has been.
Yeah, the Trinity Force Rush seems pretty inevitable, but from there it gets a bit more situational. Play the Ruin King or Titanic Hydra. It's kind of the directions you can go. Usually you build a lot of flat health on the Gnar, and he can be a strong duelist going Black Cleaver into the path of the Frozen Mallet. So Play the Ruin King would definitely be the dueling build, and dueling is what Jax is all about. You mentioned the Drake being the easy objective by sending the bot lane back to bot after the turret was taken, and will be a freebie over to Longzhu.
Yeah, one of the earliest Cloud Drake takes that we've seen in quite some time. 940 there. Does go over to Longzhu, and it's going to be another one on the way. So still no Infernals for us today here, Papa Smithy.
It is fun how Riot made with the RNG Drakes this kind of weather scenario where you're like, I've just not had a nice day in a while.
No. I mean, it has been pretty infernal outside here in Korea, I guess you could say. It's been very hot as of late.
But still rain.
Yes.
The wonders of the monsoon season.
Yep. It's still nothing compared to China either. That was ridiculous. Oh, but that's going to be a massive engage from Ella. Slicing Maelstrom comes down, but Gorilla is able to flash away. Now the arrival is Prey. Jumps in, finds the first kill, getting rid of Jewel. Jumps over to the side.
Double!
The double! Can he get the triple? Explosive Cast comes down, but they're right on his heels. Khan will be able to scoop up that kill for himself, and now Septed, well, he tries to get something. He flashes in, trying to finish off Cuz, but he goes down, and just like that, 4 kills. Over to Longzhu.
Yeah, the initiation from Ever8 was turned around instantly. Khan got his teleport off. We're going to have to watch what happened in the top side. So Jax is backing as this happens. Comes through very early teleport, you'll see. Gnar, at this present point, has his teleport, channels it. Doesn't really find anything from it, just stays top lane. The squish comes through from the Tristana, getting the reset on the rocket jump. And that is a lot of gold to give a team that already picked up first brick.
Yes, it is. Septed just desperately trying to answer something here. Point blank rocket just not going to be doing enough damage at that stage to come up with the kills. And suddenly Longzhu, 2,600 gold lead here for themselves.
Surprising that Keen never actually committed to a teleport as the scenario developed, but the first 2 kills by then, I think that's when he'll be channeling his teleport. I guess there was really no way to salvage it, but the end result, that 2-0-2 and also with the first turret blood gold is Prey, and that's a problem.
It's probably one of those moments where it's like, I can't build Rage right now, so what is the point of me going there?
That's fair.
Probably would just been, you know, another lamb to the slaughter. Give over an ace very early on the Longzhu, so probably best that he avoids that.
Now with a very accelerated build, it makes sense for the lane swap we wondered we would see earlier starting.
Prey going to be looking for his Zeal item with a BF sword, so not going to be something like the Blade of the Ruin King here for the Tristana.
Trinity Force, sorry, not Trinity Force, Infinity Edge is the right way to go on Tristana. We saw the Protect the Tristana comp a couple weeks ago from, I believe, Rock's Tigers, where it was a Blade of the Ruin King Tristana, and it just didn't get massive value. So going the high damage build, I think, is incentivized. Also, flat AD helps with these explosive charges onto the turrets.
Yeah. Especially just with how far ahead. Maybe if this went a little bit more even. You see the Blade of the Ruin King, if there was a bit more, heavy trades from the side of Duel and Ella in the lane, but he doesn't really need that sustain.
The recent build in Korea and also overseas has been BF Sword into Static Shiv and then Infinity Edge, and I imagine Shiv will be the first completion here for Prey. Has Galio for wave clear, but that was nerfed slightly, and Jax obviously doesn't provide too much in that area, so would make a lot of sense. Xayah build at this point is pretty damn standard. The Essence Reaver into usually Rapid Fire Cannon, then the Infinity Edge, so long time for that to come online, and Shiv Tristana does push very fast.
She does. Khan now wrapping around from the backside. Will zone Septed away from this turret.
Speaking of pushing fast.
Now, right after he picks up that blue buff, so I mean, he can spam some rockets, but that's about as good as it's going to get here. As Khan and BDD just look to take down this turret, so be the second of the game here for Longzhu. Cocoon connecting in on the Malrong, so maybe we took care of the issue. And that'll just stop him from pushing in, trying to clear out the waves with that explosive cast.
I just love watching Longzhu get the absolute maximum with how they actually put their champions across the map. Jax can cut through the enemy side, knows that Corki won't go in on him, thwack down the turret, and Elise is there if there's any sort of contest from the Gragas, so all Corki can do is watch and wish that his life was a bit better. And at the same time, the Yordles are top lane, basically in a 2v2, doing everything but powering down the top lane out of turrets. So Longzhu win in every way, and it wasn't even risky.
Not even close. Nearly have that third turret ready to go. We can see Tool and Ella just basically forced to stay here because they know that if they go back, that turret will fall very swiftly. So they just have to try to endure as long as humanly possible here in the lane. But Gorilla is just trying to threaten them back. Does have the Slicing Maelstrom ready to go. Khan on the bottom side of the map just get fed even more CS.
Fed. He's not fed yet, but he's certainly farmed, and that's an issue in itself. They haven't been able to cut down, or at least even find ganks onto Khan, who's kind of just basically had the time of his life, accumulating advantages over the Gnar.
Yeah, like I said, he's being fed. It's not, he's not fed yet. But the more he consumes, the closer he gets. Already has all of those components for that Triforce ready to go. Which means that Keen's going to have one hell of a time trying to take care of him in that side lane. In the meantime, Cuz will just go ahead and start up this Scuttle Crab, yeah. The big oversized Scuttle Crab, the Rift Herald.
Pretty quick solo for the
If you could just get to that
Runic
eye.
Echo Elise.
He's
Yeah.
got himself pinned into the wall. He says, nah.
It's like he's a quality top laner trying to defend himself against Fiora.
I know you know my weakness, so I'll not expose it this time around.
It's
Finally.
weird, because if he ever was sentient enough to learn that people were learning his weakness, he could just stop opening his back.
Just close it.
Get
Same
some-
thing with like any boss in a Resident Evil game. Just don't expose that giant glowing orb attached to your body, and maybe you would take over the world.
I think Longzhu are going to overtake all the turrets this game, given they have Rift Herald and Tristana, who's been able to go wherever she wants. And when it comes to proactive plays from Ever8, they really haven't had any in the past 10 minutes or so. They're watching as Longzhu accumulate advantages in the side lane turrets. And by the time they push in on the Gnar especially, feels like Jax is there to take another big grouped up minion wave. No advantages gained by Ever8, and a 4,000 gold lead for Longzhu.
Good way to start things off. Again, I mean, we were skeptical about this Tristana pick. And, well, we could still, you know, wait until the end of the game to pass the final judgment. So far, it's been working pretty damn well for Prey.
I mean, skeptical's, I think, a strong word. It's just surprising. It's surprising to see Prey, when he has other great options, go for something that's new to his champion pool for recent times. Is Keen. We can be a bit optimistic. We're trying to steal away the Drake.
I'm not going to be finding that one. But Infernal, hey, for the first time. Will be coming up as Khan is currently surrounded.
BDD
We'll have to back off.
was in Hero's entrance range if he wanted to relieve pressure, but pressure's being applied in bot lane, so no real impetus to overforce, and they can even just channel the Rift Herald
Yeah,
here.
here we go. They're just going to be looking for that tier 2, and there's nothing that Ever8 can do right now to stop it. Charge, and one swipe will kill it.
And of course, someone needs to answer the Rift Herald.
And now, it's just going to be all the attention wrapped around to the side.
And that means Rift Herald gets a second charge in because no one stayed. Gnar felt like he had to walk up and ends up getting a non-trivial amount of damage into the bottom inhibitor turret and this is another one of those, as this happened, then this happened. If you were telling a linear story, it was just Longzhu piling on advantages and getting the most out of every scenario. Their map rotations have been just a treat to watch. Grows the gold lead for them, and Ever8 have spent the whole game on the back foot.
It's one of those things where it's like you just wish that you could trivialize these rotations for Longzhu into something like a flow chart to explain like how to be good at League of Legends. Just like, oh, we'll do this, then this, then this. But Longzhu just making it look that easy.
Well, the cool thing about that, though, is that we're still learning the best things about Longzhu. You know, when it comes to someone who doesn't watch the LCK and you're like, what's good about Longzhu? You kind of want to default to old things, right? You want to default to, well, Prey and Gorilla are a really good bot lane, which everyone knew already on the Rocks Tigers. But the entirety of the 5, when it comes to their macro plays, we remember how well Peanut was tracked in Game 1 against SKT. So their level 1 plans and also their mid-game calls, their rotational play, have been a lot better than a team that only came together, what, 3-4 months ago, you could ever really expect them to be. Their macro calls really are very good.
Yeah. It's been spectacular. Right now, Things have slowed down just a little bit as Ever8 scrambles to cover the remaining structures here. Already losing that inner turret there in the bottom lane, hurting them quite a bit. They just basically have almost no control over that bottom side jungle. The one control ward sitting near the Raptors is the only semblance of vision that they really have in the vicinity.
Khan doesn't seem to subscribe to the Blade the Ruin King plan, at least for now.
Nope, not at all.
Working his way towards, you'd imagine a Titanic Hydra. Frozen Mallet would be a bit weird.
That would be a
Sterix Gauge,
bit strange.
a
Yeah,
possibility.
That's true. Could be Sterix. I'm glad that now that Kalissa's back in the meta, she doesn't build Sterix Gauge anymore.
It's true, but it is stronger on Jax than it ever has been before, given that you buy a couple of HP items.
That was just a very obnoxious time.
True. The tank Kalista. Some of them even, I know Stitch from Samsung threw in the Randuins as well, just to cap it all off.
I mean, I remember back, I forget, I don't even know what season it would be, when I remember watching Double playing the likes of Caitlyn building a Frozen Mallet as his, you know, 4th, 5th item to have a little bit of tankiness.
What season 1 or 2 at that point?
Might have been 2. 2 is about when I started paying attention to competitive League of Legends.
I think for Longzhu, it's not the power of the Galio, it's just when your macro is super good and you have Galio, your smart idea to make it to the first turret, get to the turret first, out-rotate, plus having something like Wombo Engage is a really potent duo. So I think having the extra option where if you get to the turret first and the enemy is slow to react, send one person and you can turret dive because you have the hero's entrance, it's another tool in the war chest that makes Longzhu even better at what they clearly are, on paper, very good at doing. I mean, Malrung is just having the biggest happy foot game because it's so unclear where he needs to be on the map. Because in every lane, he's being forced to react and being called to try and help.
What emotion is the other foot feeling? Because he said happy foot.
It's called happy foot. It's not called happy feet. Okay.
I just ask.
That's right. Just tell it.
All right. I've never seen that movie, actually.
Happy feet? I haven't either.
It was in that weird craze where there was just a bunch of different Penguin movies.
That's true. March of the Penguins?
And I didn't understand why that happened. Then there was that other one. It's like Surf's Up or something.
Surf's Up was another movie around the same. That's DreamWorks, I think. I forget. I watch Pixar movies, but I don't pay too much attention.
It's just odd how like different film, studios just happen to turn out similar products all at the same time. Because that's not even like a seasonal thing where you have, movies centered around Santa Claus or something like that around Christmas time. It's just like all of a sudden everybody just wanted penguins.
I mean, penguins are pretty cool.
They're cool, but I mean, do we need like 5 movies based around penguins?
I'm sure lots of people would say the same thing about superhero movies right now.
Oh, well, I definitely agree that there's too many of those. Though I am still interested in seeing Spider-Man: Homecoming. I haven't made it to the theater yet. In fact, we're going tomorrow, but not to see Spider-Man.
Honestly, I'm more focused on seeing something happen in this game. It's been a setup phase for a good 3 minutes, and you see Baron has started. Good Baron speed coming through for now. No information for Ever8. They don't have any blue trinkets up.
They're starting to work their way
It's
over
going to be
here.
a free Baron.
Yeah, they're going to be finding it out rather soon. So unless Septid can land a magical rocket, which will not happen, then there's not going to be a steal. But Gorilla just gets absolutely annihilated right off the front of this fight. But now Khan arrives with the TP, locks up Malrung with the counter-strike. And it's looking like a slaughter here for the side of Longzhu. BDD is rather low, goes in, gets a two-man taunt. Duel goes up with the Feather Storm, trying to keep himself safe, but the Cocoon connects as soon as he comes back down, and Khan scoops up the kill. Now a double as he gets rid of Septid, and Prey chases down the Rakan, finishes him off, and it's just Keen running for the hills, but I don't think he's going to make it very far. At least has the slow up on the backswing. Jukes out on the Cocoon, so maybe he makes it out of here with his life, but that's about the best thing that Ever8 have going for them right now.
Chase continues, but I don't know if Khan actually has kill pressure. Keen teleported in exhausted, so wasn't actually able to have a Mega Gnar play. Seems like Khan will just take the Infernal Drake on his way, trying to attempt to kill the Gnar. But Longzhu, after what had been a bit of a barren passage in terms of action, relied on the fact that blue trinkets were down, their vision was strong, they take the Baron, and Tristana with Baron has always been a pretty simple equation. It probably means that they'll be able to break the base in the next few minutes.
I don't think you even realize what you just did.
I did.
Baron passage of time.
Oh, I see.
Into the Baron.
Well, words are hard.
I find that out every day.
Last series of the week. We'll see a replay of the Baron play. Gorilla popped, like you say. took some focus fire, was just about the CC, and you saw the Hero's entrance was cancelled as well. But the moment Jax comes in, a Jax who had snowballed in lane pretty extensively, they were able to just go close target. And while it looks like BDD would just be turned on, he still had flash up. The team has the trust in each other. That's the evolution of Longzhu over this season. They know each other's limits. They trust the calls that are coming out of likely the veterans like Prey and Gorilla. Good target calling. Almost a clean ace, only Keen getting out, but they turn on a Baron and Infernal Drake. They stack up advantages, and already it feels like Ever8, 9,000 gold behind, have almost no hope of winning game one.
Yeah, it's kind of hit that point. And it seems like Longzhu, especially Prey, who has always had fantastic positioning, is not going to be making a similar mistake that we saw from Ruler in game number 1 versus Samsung. So keeping himself safe, and now just
they're giving a lot of space for Prey to free hit.
Yeah, just looking for that turret yet again. Explosion comes through, and he's already knocked it down about 25%. In the meantime, Khan he's just going to kill this. So why not? Keen can't do anything. He is still just a single item Gnar.
I mean, he could just end the game 0-0-0, Achilles. He's not had any kill involvement. For once, we're seeing him not actually find a true lane counter to his opponent. That's been his impressive play so far. And yeah, the 1 crit onto Duel. And the turret will also take similar damage.
Yep. Another explosion about to come down. A couple more shots will finish this off. 2 more, I believe, from Prey would have it. In the meantime, Khan says thank you for that inhibitor. He's got the minions and BDD's got the mid lane moving in. And you can just tell Ever8, they just don't know what the hell they can do in this situation. They're just scrambling back and forth.
All 3 inhibitor turrets down, thwacking on inhibitors as well as Khan. They have no answer to this Jax so far.
Yep, and that's just going to be all 3 inhibs falling. Shortly thereafter, Longzhu, do they want to stick around? It's like they will spend this gold that they just acquired for themselves. But realistically, it's 1 more push and then the game's over.
Ever8 looked really impressive against Rox Tigers, but if you remember, Killers, it was a lot about having kill pressure in the 1v1 for Keen over Shy in those games. In this game, Khan took the Jax as a blind pick. Keen had his choice of options, went with the Gnar. And his teleports haven't been on point. We haven't seen a Mega Gnar play in a team fight yet. And in the 1v1, Khan was just winning straight up. He got a single gank and then was winning in CS at every point. Keen went for the first item, Ninja Tabi, and from there was either equal or behind in items to a Jax. And the end result has been that Khan has taken over the game, like we've learned he can do with remarkable consistency in the summer season. Everyone else has done their bit as well, and as you say, it feels like we're 1 push away from the game ending.
I mean, he's a full item behind Khan at the moment, who did build that frozen mallet, by the way, on the Jax.
So he built both. Went
Maximum
Titanic Hydra, then he built a frozen mallet.
His maximum chase potential, I suppose. Honestly, I'm surprised he didn't just go for a Ravenous. He's just been destroying.
Kind of reminds me of, though, if you buy a Blade of the Ruin King, I buy 1-2 to Blade afterwards. Now he has a frozen mallet to chase people.
Just everything you could possibly want when you're playing against the Jax. Chase potential. But here we go, Super Creeps pushing through all 3 lanes. And Malrong, well, he just gets bursted down about half HP. Take a drink, try to get back up.
Keen has the transformation available.
I mean, but he needs a crazy play if they want to stop this one out. Prey likely to be the target if he goes in for anything, but transformation comes through. Super Creeps have to be the priority here, and that first Nexus turret will go down. To expect 1 more round with a bomb there from Prey would be the turret falling. Jump through, get the knock up only onto Gorilla, and Keen just melts. Now Gorilla flashing in, locking up everybody. And that is just going to be all of those kills spilling over into favor of Longzhu. A final double kill for Khan, who destroys with that Jax. A little bit of a BM TP from BDD, and the Nexus will fall.
And Longzhu, with the opportunity of going first into the weekend, look to be accepting it with open arms. Demolition of Ever8 winners who were on their highest point recently. Only just won their second series 2-0 over Rox Tigers earlier this week. And they were dispatched by Longzhu. They were clinical, rotational play was super good. They were able to pick up bonus objectives as they made the right move after the right move. And then in the team fighting phase, you could also see that there was trust in the calls. The team was of one mind. And when you put all those factors together, you're just a top team.
I mean, and this was the same thing that we were talking about just 2 days ago when they took down SKT. Those early movements that Longzhu had everybody on the same page allowed them to get those early leads and just shut out SK Telecom with that 2-0 victory. And they are able to uphold that same level of performance here against Ever8, which maybe not that surprising that they're able to come out with this victory in a very dominant fashion, but just how clean it is from Longzhu is what is fantastic to see.
And it's almost one of those weird scenarios where we had two top teams against two bottom teams, and then you look at how many mistakes or holes there were in Samsung's gameplay. You compare it to Longzhu, and you're like, there was really nothing to exploit. They drafted smartly, they played to their draft, they took a 7-minute turret. It was all almost perfect from Longzhu.
I mean, after that game there, you'd have to expect that Longzhu are getting ready to crown themselves the #1 team in LCK, at least for the moment. Could be flipped around even further as we do have 2 more weeks of games to go through. But for now, looking damn good is Longzhu Gaming. We're going to go to a break. When we come back, we'll have game number 2.